This is Jarrod Horak, and this is a special How to Use Today's Racing Digest video, Breeders' Cup 2025 edition. I will use today's Racing Digest data for my examples, and all data in this video provided by todaysracingdigest.com. Now I am going to share my handicapping plan and how I approach the Breeders' Cup each year. The first thing I do is go through the pre-entries and make notes on possible contenders for each of the Breeders' Cup races. I watch replays and workouts, and I have started doing all of those things this year. I don't make any final decisions until post positions are drawn. My main strategy prior to the post draw is to come up with some possible key horses and some live price contenders. I also decide how much I am going to bet at this time, and I go through my wagering strategies book and I formulate a plan. All of this should be done well ahead of Breeders' Cup Friday and Saturday. Doing your homework and coming up with a plan makes both Breeders' Cup days go much more smoothly. I use multiple past performance products for my Breeders' Cup handicapping, including Today's Racing Digest. Now, if you have watched previous How to Use Today's Racing Digest videos in my series, you will be familiar with the pace and final time ratings, the CPR, that's the comprehensive performance rating, the fire numbers, the fast figs, and the race header. And we're going to look at last year's complete digest for Breeders' Cup Saturday as an example of how I approach the Breeders' Cup. Now, the first thing I do is look at the fast figs. The fast figs are a combination number of performance rating and a class rating all rolled into one. And I look at those fast figs to see if any interesting contenders show up in the fast figs for the Breeders' Cup races. Now, one horse that caught my eye last year was Jarrod from Japan, and that one had the top fast fig in the Breeders' Cup turf. And he did end up going off 8-1, and he rallied to finish third that day. Now, Straight No Chaser, looking at the Breeders' Cup Sprint, had the top fast fig, and he won that race at 6-1 odds. And we had two horses top the fast figs in the Breeders' Cup Dirt Mile. They were Full Serrano and Post Time, and they finished first and second. Full Serrano was 13-1, Post Time was 7-1, and the $2 exacta in the Dirt Mile paid over $200. Now, the fast figs alone are worth the price of admission, but there is so much more data in the digest for the Breeders' Cup edition. Now, each race has a race header, and if you've seen my videos, I did a video on the race header a while back. And the race header includes the track profile, the speed and pace forecasts, the class ratings, and the best final time ratings for the distance and surface. And another hidden gem in the race header is the fastest in the stretch runners. And that can be a vital stat if you are constructing trifecta and superfecta tickets. Now, looking at some examples for the fastest in the stretch for the Breeders' Cup last year, Motorious, he was the fastest in the stretch in the Breeders' Cup Turf Sprint, and he did rally to finish second, and he was 12-1. Now, looking at the Breeders' Cup Mile, and that's the 1 mile turf race, Johannes, Carl Spackler, and More Than Looks, they were the three fastest in the stretch for the Breeders' Cup Mile. And More Than Looks at 6-1 defeated Johannes at 4-1, and that $2 exacta came back 96-20. So that's some valuable information, and you can just use those stats to come up with some live price players. And you also get horse comments from the digest handicappers. They can be valuable as well. And an example from the horse comment from the Breeders' Cup Mile is on the screen now. And for the Breeders' Cup Mile, I'll just read a few of the comments from some of the horses. And we mentioned some of them that came in. And More Than Looks, the digest handicapper said, rallied for second in a like event at Keeneland on October 5th. Jose Ortiz back to ride. Third start off the bench. He worked fast on October 19th, and this colt could be sitting on a top effort, and he definitely was. For Johannes, they said has won 4 straight locally at below this level. He has tactical speed. Rispoli strings along, and he charts close. He seems too sharp to ignore. So those were two of the horses in the comments that the digest handicapper made, and they did finish first and second that race. So I always go through and I read those comments as well to see if some of my contenders match up, or if they mentioned a horse that I may have missed in my early Breeders' Cup handicapping. And last but not least, looking at the past performances, And the past performances include the last 10 fire numbers, and fire number is speed throughout a race. The past performances also include the CPR, that's the comprehensive performance rating, which takes into account pace, final time, and closing fraction. And then you have the pace and final time ratings. The final time ratings are like a Beyer speed figure type number. And you get much more in the past performances as well. And we're going to look at an example of the past performances from the Breeders' Cup Mile that's on the screen now, and just showing some of the past performances to see what the digest past performances do look like. And we will look again at More Than Looks and Johannes, and you'll see on the far right side, you'll see the final time ratings, and then right next to the final time ratings, we have the pace ratings, and you'll see More Than Looks. He had a 147, a 144, and a 147 in his last 3 starts. Johannes had a 147, a 152, and a 155. But More Than Looks, if you go back to his 4th start back, he also got a 155. So those are some of the numbers. As I said, you'll see the last 10 fire numbers as well. More Than Looks, 98, 108, 103, 116 in his last 4 starts. Johannes had a 97, a 99, a 104, a 96. But it shows the last 10 fire ratings. CPR as well, you'll see all of the CPR numbers. As I said, comprehensive performance rating, which takes into account pace, final time, and closing fractions. You get a lot more information as well. Trainer stats, last 15 starts for the trainers. Also the jockey trainer team stats. Tim Yakteen, Humberto Rispoli, 4 for 11 together. And for Cherie DeVoe and Jose Ortiz at that time, they were 9 for 53 together. So that's just some of the stats and that you're going to get in the past performances for today's Racing Digest. And I mentioned in the different videos how to use all of those different numbers to make the most money as well. Now, the Complete Digest is a valuable tool when you're tackling the Breeders' Cup. Tons of information in there, and you just have to know which information, what's the most important information. And the Breeders' Cup Complete Digest will be available Breeders' Cup week at todaysracingdigest.com. And as I showed some of the stuff that you're going to be getting in that Complete Digest, there's just a ton of information there, including as well, you're going to get expert full card analysis, inside horse commentary, projected pace report, early and late performance ratings, much more as well. And today's Racing Digest has been around for a long time. They're handicapping experts, especially in California, and they have been providing past performance data to handicappers since 1970. And one of their most popular products is the Complete Digest, which includes, as I said, the race header, race analysis, fire numbers, pace, and final time ratings, wagering strategies for the Breeders' Cup as well, and much more. You can go to todaysracingdigest.com for more information on their handicapping products. And I'm also doing a full card that I do each year for Breeders' Cup. I've been doing these Breeders' Cup full cards for many years. You can get my Breeders' Cup analysis at todaysracingdigest.com as well on my handicappers page at that website. Or you can get my Breeders' Cup analysis at my personal website as well, the runawayhorse.com, on my shop page. And like, comment, and share these videos if you like them. Subscribe to my channel as well. It's free to subscribe. And until I see you next time, good luck at the races and good luck in the Breeders' Cup this year.